So guys, time to talk about my top 5 favorite ball python morphs. Let's go! So I will only have my little boy out because Oda is in shed. Maybe I will just take her out a little bit to show about talk about one of the morphs. And these two are not on the top 5, but they just ate, so I'm not gonna take them out. So left with this little boy. So let's go with the top 5, and it's not like a top 5, fixed top 5, it always changes, but you get the idea, right? So basically, number 5 for me is a puzzle gene. So the puzzle gene is a recessive morph that has a little of pattern, not a little bit, but has a lot of pattern. You know, a lot of pattern influence basically on the snake. You know, why is it my top 5? My number 5 is not higher. It's because these animals are really nice, but they're not like, you know, as they're impressive if you have a normal ones. But you know, if you show a puzzle to someone that is now into ball pythons, is maybe not gonna get it, you know. He's gonna be like, yeah, that's a cool snake, but he's maybe not gonna get it, you know. So basically that's the stuff. And when it comes to me, I like this. I like it because it's just, you know, I like the way it influences the pattern and everything, you know. It just messed up the pattern and everything. And also I've heard a lot that puzzles are, yeah, they're puzzles, you know, they have a puzzle in their head basically. So that's what I heard about them. So basically that's the stuff that I like about it also, you know. It's about, you know, because you know me, I like a lot about the influence behavior basically, you know. So it is why it is my number 5 morph. Number 4, pastel. So pastel is one of the oldest morph ever. Oda is just a plain pastel. I won't get out because she's in shed, as I said. But pastel is an enhancing gene. It makes, you know, your brown ball python yellow. And if it's, you know, aged well like Oda is, it stays quite yellow. And if it doesn't, well, most of the time it's brownish with the time, but it's always being a lighter brown than a regular ball python basically. So why is it number 4 and not higher on the list or even lower on the list? First, it's more an emotional type of, you know, attractiveness to it, because Oda is a pretty example of pastel, and she's my first ball python, and my first ball python being a pastel. I feel like, you know, your first ball python morph is always a little special to you. I mean, in my opinion at least, you know. So it makes it, you know, a lot more special to you, to me at least, you know, basically. So that's pretty much the stuff, you know. And when it goes to dark morphs and stuff, and I see a lot of combo with pastel, I really love it, you know. For example, pastel puzzle, to take the example of the previous gene that I talked about, number 5 puzzle, you know, it is it's that basically. So, and as I said, pastel is one of the oldest morphs existing around, you know, discovered in the 90s, you know, end of the 90s basically. And it's really, I think it's really nice morph. It's overlooked by a lot of people, even though a lot of people nowadays are beginning to hype it a little more and love it a little more, you know. And I really appreciate that, you know, as someone that always said that, hey, pastel is super cool. Basically, I never stopped saying that since I have a pastel ball python, basically, and even super pastel with Garaga when I had Garaga, which was a super pastel genetic stripe. And if you heard about my previous, on my older channel, you will see a couple stuff changed. So number 3, no, that's number 3. So basically number 3, monsoon. A lot of people know what monsoon is, and when you see a monsoon, that's what I talk about when it comes to pattern morphs. That's what I talk about when I say that stuff. It's impressive if you don't know anything about ball pythons. If you show a monsoon to someone, it's gonna be a little more like wow than a pastel or a puzzle. I love that disturbing pattern, you know, granite-like pattern, you know, that type of stuff. That's really what I like basically. Yeah, I really like that, and it's something, you know, I really look forward to have some Monsoon in my collection at some point, you know. But, you know, I'm gonna show you, you will have pictures of all these morphs, you know, that I don't have. But basically, Monsoon is a really cool morph that I really like, that I really enjoy. I love the way it's done. And I love it when it's with enhancing gene, like when you see pastel Monsoon, when you see candy Monsoon, when you see all that type enhancing or just reverting or color mutation, basically, you know, all the color mutation. I really love it. Antoine, basically, that made the OD Monsoon is crazy looking, you know. OD Monsoon was also crazy looking, basically, you know, but you get the idea, right? So all these crazy morphs combo, you know, with light genes that puts up the pattern really light in this Monsoon stuff. That's really what I like, basically. So, number 2, candy. Yep. So, I should say that number 1 and number 2 are pretty close to each other because they're kind of the same stuff. So candy is from the albino complex, basically, if you want. You know, it's, you know, what we would call affinity negative. You know, it's not like, you know, it's a true albino type of gene, if you want, a little bit like albino, basically, and lavender. But, you know, candy is, the way it ages is not exactly the same as, for example, a lavender, and it doesn't look exactly the same as a lavender. And it's that type of stuff, you know. If you take a banana, if you take a lavender, if you take a candy, it's going to be a little more wow to people, you know, and to eyes, and it's really interesting how it ages and stuff like that. So basically, that's what I like about candy. And since I like a little more, I like all albinism, you know, from ball pythons. The only one I don't really like is the classic albino, basically. I'm not a big fan of it because, I don't know, like, I feel like it makes the snake look like a sausage or some shit. It's just me, okay? It's just my way of seeing this stuff. But if you're arguing, you know, toffee and candy is the same gene, basically, but so I should say candy / toffee, basically, to have it more complete. But I feel like, you know, this is really interesting. I mean, it's kind of aged like a lavender, for those not knowing, but it's not exactly, it doesn't age and it doesn't look exactly like a lavender, you know, basically. So that's pretty much it about the candy. And number 1, and that's why I have this little guy here. Number 1, and that's why I talk a lot about lavender also, is the lavender albino. So lavender albino is a type of albinism, as you might have understood from the name. And it's my number 1 gene that I like, basically. From the deep, when they're babies like that, from the deep whites that are turning lavender-ish, depending on the light, you know, to the oranges that are orange, like popping orange, you know, and yellow. From the sides, if you can see these sides, guy, you know, they're neon, you know, they're going a little like neon, and the flames and stuff like that, you know, they're going neon and all that. And if you have, basically, I can show you also on the tail, it's made even more, you see it even more, you know. This is the stuff, right, that everyone likes, you know, high contrast animal, you know. And yeah, basically lavender is my favorite snake because of how it ages, because of how it looks, basically, as a baby, then as a subadult, as an adult, and an old snake. Basically, you know, I've talked a lot of it with people that have kept 10+ years animals. They're all lavender, and they said, like, you have 1 lavender, you have 3 snakes in your life, basically, you know. And that's what I really like, you know. And he is sweet, small and stuff, but he's gonna age. You know, I already know basically how he's gonna age, and I really like the result of it, you know. It's, for me, lavender, as for candy, or one of the best aging genes ever, basically, for me, in my opinion, you know, because of the way it is gonna change color, basically. So that's pretty much the stuff. If you want an ID, it's also recessive. All these genes are recessive mutation, but the pastel. And I should have a bonus one, but I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. But basically, this is my top 5 Ball Python genes, you know. And if you want, we can make a little history about all those genes. I can talk a little bit history about all those genes, you know, maybe with the guest, maybe not. We're gonna see how it works. And I mean, I have a special one for you guys. I have also the Hurricane. Another incomplete dominant gene, you know. Hurricane is also messing with the pattern basically. It has a super form, which is a super Hurricane or Hayabusa. If you know Balls of Fury, it has a Hayabusa Lavender. Can't beat that shit, you know, sorry, can't beat that shit. It's too much for me, too much for my eyes. I need sunglasses on that animal when he shows it on Instagram, basically. You know, all the link down in the description below, of course, because I'm talking about him. But you get the idea, right? So, Lavender and Hurricane are really good. And the stuff is that, you know, I have Pastel. Why did I choose a Lavender for Pastel Ball Python? I could have taken a Hurricane, for example, or I could have taken Monsoon, or I could have taken Puzzle, or any of those genes, basically. But why Lavender? Well, because I truly am aware of something, and I'm truly like thinking, and I'm convinced of that, is that someone on the table is gonna be more amazed, and even though it takes me a little time to get Pastel Lavenders, because this is basically the project, it's going to be, you know, more wow to the people than a regular pastel, or if I have even a Pastel Hurricane. I think, you know, most of the pattern gene up until this puzzle, Monsoon, Genetic Stripe, all this type, Pinstripe, a really messy pattern gene. The only guys are already getting excited about it are us Ball Python guys, you know, because we know the difference between the genes. But for someone like, you know, if I ask my grandmother, for example, what she prefers between a Hayabusa, Lavender, or just a plain Hayabusa, she's gonna take the Lavender because it's more popping to the eyes, basically, you know. That's why also I'm huge thinking about color morphs more than really pattern morphs, even though I love pattern morphs, don't get me wrong, right? Basically. And that's pretty much the stuff. I think I have made it all. So I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Don't forget to support USR. Don't forget to arcade. Don't forget to jump rookie with pet group. Don't forget me on Instagram, AodaReptile, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Let's go.